Hello and welcome to another video, another interview. This is fantastic. This interview is with Emily from EcoWild, a social enterprise that has events for basically everyone, whether you're disabled or whether you're able, whether it's for the elderly or whether it's for the little youngins under 5. They have activities for everyone. You will find out more about EcoWild, what they're about, but also what they're planning on doing in the future from Emily herself. It's a fantastic interview. I really greatly appreciate Emily for taking the time to answer my questions. I'm just thankful that people like to answer my questions that I send them. I'll hand you over to Emily right now.
EcoWild is based in North Somerset and is mostly active in Greyfield Woods, which is a Woodland Trust property, and at the community farm at True Valley Lake. And we also use other woodlands and sites in the area and go to schools. We run outdoor learning, recreational and wellbeing activities for adults and children. And I was inspired to found EcoWild because of the ecological and climate crisis and the compassion that I have for people and the struggles that they go through in their life. And so really recognising that the only way you get long-term meaningful change is by embedding it in people's value systems, and we do that through our life experiences. So it's to create the opportunity for life experiences that embed the living world in people's value systems. So yes, that's right, we run activities such as natural art and craft, wild art, foraging, mindfulness, tai chi, all sorts of things in woodlands for all ages. And it's really important to reach every age and every demographic, because there are different ways that we might each access and engage with nature depending on the life stage. So it's really important to consider that and not make it a blanket offer for everybody, but to really work with where people are in their lives right now, and often that is affected by age. And so some of our adult wellbeing groups, for example, are not exclusively, but a lot of some of them cater quite well to older adults who might be retired or who've come through personal difficulties and need something to kind of help get them back on their feet. Different activities appeal to different age groups, but quite often we'll also have a whole range of ages in one particular activity. The government's 25-year plan and its reference to nature and mental health and well-being, it is really significant. As you say, it's only a small part of that plan, but it gives a hook from which to extrapolate out to regional and local action. And it also is supported when people like the MP George Eustace came out a few weeks ago announcing a £4 million fund for green social prescribing, and that's only going to be in 4 test areas which are most affected by COVID, so probably not going to be the southwest for now. But these things just show there's some mechanism towards what we're trying so hard to do as part of the wider network that EcoWild is involved with, the West of England Nature Partnership, and its mainstreaming of green care work, which involves academic bodies, local councils, water companies, Natural England, other government departments, and really starting to make the path towards integrated nature and health approaches. Please excuse my chickens having a good old cluck in the background. So the best age to start introducing nature is preconception, if that's possible, because obviously it is our natural environment, but so many people in our current dominant culture are not born into or given the experience as a child of being at ease in the living world. And so small children, babies are all, it's really important for them to be in woodlands or in open landscapes, partly because of physiological development, like eyesight the eyes need to be able to focus on far and near objects and have sort of wide-ranging vision in order to develop properly. And the explosion in myopia and short-sightedness, especially in very academically driven Southeast Asian countries, is a reflection of human populations stopping that natural coexistence with the living world in their early years. It's really easy for children to be encouraged and supported in the living world because they're so present with everything and so fascinated by everything. And then in teenage years, that's when it's known that there's a drop off with engagement, as we tend to draw back into our peer groups and have less outward fascination in nature as a rule. But I think perhaps there's a resurgence of understanding about what it means for that age group as well to have their own personal connection with the living world, and to get up and see the sunrise as part of their experiences growing up, and to go out with friends for sunset walks, or to go to a river, go wild swimming. They're all pretty elemental and exciting experiences for teenagers as well. EcoWild's activities were affected by COVID and lockdown. We had new sites which we were supposed to be starting adult wellbeing courses based around natural art and craft and mindfulness and so on, and that was completely pulled, as were all the other on the ground courses for adults, and instead we were funded to do 1 or 2 remote courses. And since then the on the ground courses haven't been started up again, and we're only left with remote courses, even though it's safe for people to meet outside. Because that came through statutory funding, they now are not able to fund it. Yes, we're still using Greyfield Woods and the community farm at Chew Valley Lake. We haven't used Bath City Farm for a while, but we could do in the future. And then Midsummer Norton Town Park, the new town park, is a new site, and we've been able to run foraging walks, which, because we don't have any funding at the moment, those are independently funded, so people have to book on and pay for those. And we are applying for funding to get the adults free courses going again. I'm really glad to hear that you experience that growing of confidence each week with the willow weaving, and I think that's a really fundamental, one of our fundamental goals is to develop ease, both and familiarity with natural materials, living materials, and the natural environment. And that's because again, most people are not in the habit of using or knowing what is available to use in the living world around us, and yet humans for all these centuries have been influencing the landscape and what grows here, and so everything that's here is here because it's useful to humans. So having that connection and knowing how to use what exists around us is just a really good way of deepening that feeling of belonging and confidence, like you say, in nature. The other goals, their social interaction is really important for some people, but not for others. So there's different goals, I suppose, for different groups. I think really we're guided by this principle of meeting people where they are and what their needs are, and so the diverse range of ways of interacting are there because that gives people opportunity to find something that meets their needs at that time. So the goal really there is to create more meaning for people in their interactions with the living world. I think people might carry on trying to immerse in nature a bit more, and certainly they won't forget the new local places that they managed to visit or the footpaths they found during lockdown. But I think generally, unless we carve time out for it intentionally, our lives are generally led away from those interactions. The community farm at Tree Valley Lake have done a publication called Lessons from Lockdown, and I did a very short article about this in that, so it's available through their Instagram page. Do have a look. To book on at the moment, we've got sessions for small young children and parents. We've got adult foraging courses or one-day introduction to foraging, and adults can do those with children as well. And we've got the free online nature connection course, which people can do from the comfort of their own homes, but will be guided into nature connection experiences. It's really nice to hear your questions and hear how your research is going, Sam, so well done for that. People can contact me through through emily@ecowild.org.uk, or via the Facebook page, Instagram, or the website.
Wasn't that just a fantastic interview? So much insight into what makes a great activity for all kinds of different demographics. I really appreciate the fact that EcoWild do create activities for a variety of different people, from the young to the old, to the able to the disabled, those with mental health conditions to those that do not have them. It's for everyone, and I really did enjoy my time doing the willow weaving activity in Bath City Farm.
Battery ran out on my actual camera, so I have to use my brother's iPad to continue what I was saying in the previous video. But you could see the progress of my willow weaving from 2 years ago at Bath City Farm with EcoWild on a blog post, which I'll provide the link down below in the description of the blog post of my time as an EcoWild participant in Bath City Farm doing willow weaving in I think it was like late 2018. It was about an 8 to 10 week course, so it was great because I saw a lot of people from a variety of different backgrounds, and I was able to communicate with them. I was able to share stories with them, and they were able to communicate and share stories with me, and we were all in this like a little bubble together, trying to do the best willow weaving baskets and sculptures that we could do, that we could make. And with each passing week, I grew in confidence, and kind of like what I said in one of my questions, I did grow in confidence, and you do see my progress. The one on the bottom, which in a photo, but I should add, that is on my blog post. You'll see the willow weaving sculpture at the bottom was my week 1 sculpture, and then the one that sits on top of it is a one that I did a good few weeks later, and you can clearly see the difference in like thickness and the difference in like how close I was able to weave them together, and it was great. So I became slightly above novice by the end of it, to a from a complete and utter novice, because that was like the first proper time that I experienced willow weaving. So, but yeah, and that's kind of what I took away from my time as a participant in EcoWild, because yeah, at the start we were all kind of like, you know, anxious because we're new people, right? So and as the end went by, we were like, yeah, kumbaya. We were sharing stories, we were some people were making baskets. I wasn't quite that good to do that, so I continued doing sculptures, and plus it was like the fall of 2018, so I figured why not have sculptures for like Halloween and then Christmas, so to stick on a Christmas tree. So but anyway, yeah, it was such a great experience, and I truly recommend, if you can, when EcoWild are able to do more activities, when they're able to run more activities, so try and participate if you can, because you will meet so many different people and you get to appreciate nature, because there's not just willow weaving, there's like tree climbing. There were as Emily mentioned, they go to different venues, different community farms, like the one in the Mendips of around Chew Valley. There's one there. It's and the Mendips itself, itself is a fantastic location full of hills and lakes, and not too far away is the Somerset coastline too. So yeah, it's a really good opportunity that I do recommend that you participate in, if and when they are able to run them, because obviously with COVID, it's you never know what's going to happen around the corner, but when you can, I truly recommend it. Like I remember also, before I kind of wrap up this little monologue that I'm going on, when I got introduced to EcoWild, we saw like a children's tree climbing activity, and it was like a little adventure camp. Right at the end, they all let down on the ground, and they were looking up the trees, because it was a forestry region, so you had like the tree leaves kind of interwoven, I guess, with each other, or at least it seemed like that. And it was like some sort of like really nice meditation feel to just immersing yourself in breathing, and I'm truly appreciating where you are, and appreciating nature around you. It's biophilia, if you want a term for it. Again, I got another blog post. I'll link this one as well. God, I'm linking all my blog posts here. I'll link another blog post where I talk a little bit into biophilia, but it's a fantastic topic for anyone to research into. You don't have to be academic or in the know-how to want to research biophilia, and in all of its glory. So, but yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for Emily for taking the time to answer my questions, taking the time to provide insight in EcoWild and why I believe people should try and participate in, if they can, obviously, and when EcoWild is able to introduce their old activities and potentially new activities once COVID, hopefully, fingers crossed, dies down a significant amount so that you can run on the ground. And they were looking up the trees because it was a forestry region, so you had like the tree leaves kind of interwoven, I guess, with each other, or at least it seemed like that. And it was like some sort of like really nice meditation feel to just immersing yourself in breathing, and I'm truly appreciating where you are and appreciating nature around you. It's biophilia, if you want a term for it. Again, I got another blog post. I'll link this one as well. God, I'm linking all my blog posts here. I'll link another blog post where I talk a little bit into biophilia, but it's a fantastic topic for anyone to research into. You don't have to be academic or in the know-how to want to research biophilia, and in all of its glory. So, but yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for Emily for taking the time to answer my questions, taking the time to provide insight in EcoWild and why I believe people should try and participate in, if they can, obviously, and when EcoWild is able to introduce their old activities and potentially new activities once COVID, hopefully, fingers crossed, dies down a significant amount so that you can run these activities. All the links for EcoWild and Emily are down below in the description, alongside the 2 blog posts that I mentioned. And yeah, I want you all, hopefully, to stay safe. Much love, and I will see you in the next video.